Your phone spends every day rubbing against metal, keys, coins, zippers, and yet, after months, sometimes even years, the screen still looks almost brand new. No deep scratches, no cloudy surface, just clean. How is that possible? Because ordinary glass scratches surprisingly easily. A window, a drinking glass, even a cheap screen protector can pick up marks within weeks. So why doesn't your phone? That question is more interesting than it sounds. The answer isn't simply, it's stronger glass. It involves decades of research, clever engineering, and a scientific trick happening at a scale too small to see. Welcome to the Untold Simple. Today, we're exploring the science behind the glass on your smartphone. By the end, you'll understand why it survives your pocket, your bag, and your daily life, and why it isn't quite as invincible as people think. Let's start with something familiar. Ordinary glass. Think about a window, or a drinking glass in your kitchen, or a camera lens. All of these are made from glass that, in its natural state, is fairly brittle. It looks smooth, it looks tough, but its surface gives in easily to anything harder than itself. In a way, glass has always had this quiet weakness. So what makes smartphone glass different? To understand that, we first need to understand what actually causes a scratch. And this is where most explanations stop too early. They just say harder glass and move on. But the real story starts somewhere much smaller. Dust. It's everywhere. On tables, in pockets, in the air itself. And a lot of that dust contains something called quartz, a mineral found in sand. Here's the interesting part. Quartz is surprisingly hard. On a scale scientists use to measure hardness, called the Mohs scale, quartz sits higher than most people expect. And there's a simple rule in this scale. An object can only scratch something that is softer than itself. So here's a myth worth busting. Most people believe their keys scratch their phone screen. But modern phone glass is actually harder than most keys. The real enemies are smaller. Sand, tiny rocks, construction dust. These are the particles that quietly wear down glass over time, not the metal in your pocket. But here's where things change. To beat these tiny, hard particles, glass makers needed something stronger than ordinary glass. And that search goes back further than most people realize. In the 1960s, a company began a project simply called Project Muscle. The goal was to create an extremely tough, damage-resistant glass. It worked, but at the time, there wasn't really a product that needed it. So the idea was set aside, forgotten in a way for decades. Then smartphones appeared. Suddenly, the world needed exactly what that old research had already solved. The project was revived. And according to widely shared industry stories, Steve Jobs personally requested a stronger display for the first iPhone. That request helped push this glass, now known as Gorilla Glass, into everyday use. So how is it actually made? This is where the real transformation happens. Normal glass starts as a mix of raw materials, melted and cooled into sheets. From there, it goes through a molten salt bath. Inside that bath, something quiet but powerful takes place. Small sodium ions, sitting near the surface of the glass, are swapped out for larger potassium ions. Think of it like this. Imagine trying to fit a slightly bigger puzzle piece into a spot that used to hold a smaller one. It has to squeeze in. That squeezing creates pressure, a kind of built-in tension across the surface of the glass. This pressure is what makes the surface compressed and tightly packed. And a tightly compressed surface is much harder to scratch or crack. In a way, the glass is strengthened without changing what it's made of, just how tightly it's packed together. But here's where the story gets more balanced. Harder glass resists scratches. That part is clear. But harder materials can also become more brittle. And brittle materials crack more easily under sudden force. So manufacturers are constantly working with trade-offs. Scratch resistance on one side, drop resistance on the other. And alongside that, thickness, weight, and how well the screen responds to touch. Over time, newer generations of this glass have tried to improve both sides at once, becoming better at resisting scratches, while also handling drops more calmly than earlier versions. Still, a few myths deserve to be cleared up. Gorilla Glass is not unbreakable. It's scratch-resistant, not scratch-proof, and definitely not shatterproof. Diamonds don't magically protect it either. In fact, diamonds are hard enough to scratch almost anything, including this glass. But diamonds aren't something your screen usually meets in daily life. And screen protectors, the ones many people rely on, don't actually make the glass underneath any stronger. What they mainly do is absorb small scratches and soften some impact, taking the damage so the real screen doesn't have to. So then, why do screens still crack, even with all this technology? Usually, it isn't because the glass is weak. It's about how the phone falls, the force of the impact, the angle it lands at, and especially the edges and corners. These are usually the most vulnerable points because that's where the stress concentrates the most. In general, a flat drop on a soft surface rarely causes damage. But a corner hitting solid ground at just the wrong angle can be enough to crack even the toughest glass. So it comes down to this: every swipe, every tap, every photo you take, all of it happens on a sheet of glass just a few millimeters thick. And yet, thanks to decades of quiet research, starting long before smartphones even existed, that thin sheet survives millions of touches and countless trips through pockets, bags, and busy days. It's one of the most advanced materials most people will ever hold in their hands, but it's also one of the most overlooked. So, next time you unlock your phone, take a second look at that screen. There's more science in it than most people ever stop to notice. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe. And tell me in the comments, do you use a screen protector, or do you trust the glass on its own? Thanks for watching The Untold Simple, and I'll see you in the next one.